What's up? Today we're going to talk about the if, else if, and the else statements. Let's get to it, guys. Now, before I get into Java, I want to quickly go over what an if statement is and how it's really structured. Now, if we think about if statements, we may be thinking, oh, it's only in computers, but it's really something that we use universally, right? Almost in everyday life, right? Let's say you're this little boy over here, and you're trying to decide whether you have to go to school. Well, in that situation, you would actually use an if statement, right? You'll say, if today is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or a Friday, then I will go to school. And that's really the format of the if statement, even in Java, right? It's always going to be if, and then in parentheses, a condition, after which, you have little brackets, and you'll have an action that it does. So you'd always check for a certain condition, whether that's true, and then you'll have an action that it does. Now, let's try that in Eclipse over here. Here I have this boolean called PE grade, and I've set that to true. In this whole example, I'm just going to be using grades, and I'm going to be talking about grades so that we can explore the logic structures of ifs. But in this first situation, we're just going to have a PE grade that's going to be set to true. Now, in most schools, PE grades are either a pass or fail, so that's why I used a boolean. So if it's true, that means we have passed PE. If it's false, that means we have not passed PE. So with that out of the way, why don't we try using an if statement in this situation? So let's try saying something along the lines of, let's say if someone has passed PE, we'll say you have passed PE, right? This Java program will print that out. So for that, we can have an if statement. You'd put if, like I said before, if parentheses the condition. Now the condition is going to be whether PE grade is true or not, right? So we want to test if PE grade equals true. And then we would want to have a action that it does if it is true, and that action is going to be printing out you have passed PE. So in this case, the code will say you have passed PE when we run it. Now let's give it a shot, and here we have it. It says you have passed PE because this boolean is true. Now what happens if this PE grade is a fail, right? What happens when PE grade becomes false? Well, if we run this out, nothing prints out. So why don't we write some code so that it will say that you have failed PE? Now in this case, what we want to do is use an else statement, right? We're saying that if this condition does not check out, continue on to this else statement, which says that sysout, and it will print you have failed PE, right? So now this code is actually going to go through these lines over here by checking whether PE grade is equal to true, which obviously it's not, and then it'll carry out the else statement saying that you have failed PE. So if we run this, it will say that we have failed PE. Now why don't we try applying this PE grades concept with the if and else with something a little bit more tough. Why don't we look at something like bio grades, right? Now if we look at bio grades, the class isn't going to be as simple as PE in that the grades are either going to be a pass or a fail, right? We're going to have letter grades like A, B, C's, D's, and then obviously F's. So let's make it so that the computer will tell us what letter grade we get based on the number grade that we give it, right? So if we give it like an 83, it should give us back a B. So let's give the computer a number to deal with. Now this is going to be int bio grade. So original am I not. Now let's set this number to 78, right? The student didn't do so well in bio. Now why don't we think about how the computer will want these if loops to go. So if we start with the bottom, right? If we start with if, bio grade is more than 50, then this is actually not really going to work, right? If we have a statement something like if bio grade is more than 50, and then we say sysout, println, you have a F in bio, well, this is actually not going to work, right? Because if we do this, it's always going to say that we have an F in bio, right? If we run this code right now the way it is, it will say that we have an F in bio. Now, we don't want the if statements to go like this, right? Because if we start from the bottom up, it will always go and check whether bio grade is more than 50, which it is, and then it will say that we have an F in bio the way it says it over here. So we would actually want the if statement starting backwards. So what I mean by this is that we would want to start with the A grade. So if the bio grade is more than 90, it will say that we have an A in bio. And then moving downwards with the B, C, D, and then the F. Now that I've fixed my grammar in my print statements and I've added the if-else statements for all the other grades such as 80, then 70, and then 60, and then obviously else where we say that you have an F in bio, this code should work out, right? So why don't we give this code a shot? Well, there we go. Look at this. We still say that we have a D in bio and we also have a C in bio. Because the way that this code works is that it's going to check every single one of these conditions until, obviously this won't print because we don't have an F in bio, and it will actually go and check whether bio grade is still more than 60. Now when it goes and checks whether it's more than 60, obviously that's going to check out and it'll actually print this line here, which is what has happened over here. So how do we prevent this? And to prevent this, we would actually want to use the else if statement. Now what an else if statement does is that it actually gives Java the option to move onwards when this first condition is not met. So whenever a preceding condition is not met, it will actually move on to the next one. But if that preceding condition is met, such as when bio grade is more than 90, it will actually exit this entire if-else statement and then just exit out of it and continue onwards. So what I mean by this is that if bio grade is more than 90, it will actually print you have an A in bio and it won't even check these conditions. Rather, it will just exit and it will continue onwards. Now in this case, it's going to check whether it's more than 90, which is false, more than 80, which is again false, and then after it checks whether it's more than 70, which it is, then it'll print this statement. It won't even check for these, or it won't even carry out this statement, and it'll actually just exit the code. So if you want the code to be more selective in the way that it checks these if statements, you'd want to use the else if. So I'll run this again so that you can see that it only says that you have a C in bio because 78 is a C grade in bio. Now this is all there is really for the if and else statements. Obviously you could have a simple if and else the way that it is for PE, but if you have more complex logic statements that you want to incorporate, you'd want to use if and then an else if and then obviously as many as you'd like, and then finally a final else statement. So this is the way you do if and else statements in Java. Now if you like this video, feel free to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below, and if you want more videos like these, feel free to hit that subscribe button because they are on their way. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.